Prevention Walk. And so this evening we're going to briefly talk about some of the data that has occurred in Orange County, and actually while we're here, we're going to hear from two local speakers this evening, and then we're also going to share with you some data as far as around Orange County and the importance of it as well. And so I would first like to thank everyone who came. I would especially like to thank our vendors who are here, if you have not visited their tables yet. So we have UNC's LGBTQ Center, we have Cardinal Innovations, we have El Futuro, UNC Carolina Recovery Center, Orange County Health Department along with Gun Safety, and we have NAMI. So we would like to thank, if you have not visited those tables, please do. We also have Mapleview who's here, so we have ice cream for any and everyone, and please help yourself to ice cream. And Freedom House Recovery Center, I apologize. And then right here on the corner is some water for anyone who's interested in that. Okay, and I'd also like to thank and ask for a few words. We have Rich Bruton from Cardinal Innovations. We have Commissioner Penny Rich, who is here. We have Commissioner Renee Price, who is here. And of course, we have Mayor Lydia Lavelle, who you'll hear from momentarily. And we also have our Health Director, Quintana Stewart, who you'll also hear from momentarily. So we would like to thank everyone for coming, and we will turn it over now to Mayor Lydia Lavelle.
Thanks, Ashley. And I mainly just want to say welcome to everyone. What an awesome evening for us to be gathered here to talk about this really, really important issue. As I understand it, this is the third year, right, of this walk, and the other 2 years were in other areas in our community, so we're really happy that everyone's here in Carver tonight. I just wanted to read briefly, I know when you reached out to me, Ashley, I didn't know that much about Healthy Carolinians of Orange County, and I really, to read about the program and to read about, how we've identified suicide as a top health priority, I think, it's something that affects each of us. And I say that to say, even myself, I know I have 2 family members who have committed suicide. And so it's really, I'm really, I don't want to say looking forward to, but I know we're going to hear some stories tonight. I mean, this is an issue that's prevalent in all of our lives. And so I think it's really important to place emphasis on this, because we want people to be able to reach out and talk and be able to discuss this openly. And so thank you very much for having this really important program here. I'm looking forward to hearing from everyone else.
At this moment, we'd like to offer space for our commissioners if you want to say anything. Commissioner Penny or Commissioner Renee?
I know. Stand right there. Yeah. Thank you. My name is Penny Rich. I'm the chair of the Board of County Commissioners. And I just want to thank our health department. They are just on top of everything, not only this topic, but everything that they do the right way. And they try to keep everyone happy and healthy and safe in Orange County. And that's, as a county commissioner, our job is to make sure that people are safe and feel that they can have a place to go if they need a health department. So I just want to thank everybody that's involved with the health department. I see lots of friendly faces. And I'm really touched by the shoes. I think that's something that is, just so telling. And I was told there's 66 pairs of shoes up here, which is, it's really sad. It's not a happy thing to see, but I know that we can all pull together and try to make sure that we don't add a 67th shoe to it. So thank you for having us.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Renee Price, Vice Chair of the Board of County Commissioners. And this is the second time that I've been at one of these events. And I think last year was 64 pairs of shoes. So we've added a couple pair of shoes. And I just want to thank everyone that's working on this for bringing awareness of this situation to our community. And the more we bring awareness to it, the more we can help other people. And get them before before there's another loss. So thank you everyone for coming out today and for all the work that you do.
Okay, so now we will hear from our Health Director, Quintana Stewart, who will share a little bit of data locally about what we've experienced here in Orange County.
Stand back. There you go.
All right, I'm going to attempt to read my data. So, good evening. Again, I want to say welcome to everyone. Thank you all for coming out to support our community efforts as we address such an important issue, suicide. So, I'm going to briefly share with you a little data about the concern of suicide in Orange County, some signs and symptoms to look for, and then I will share how you, as a resident, a citizen, or a professional, can apply a few simple steps to help someone else. So suicide trends in adults. From 2013 to 2017, we have lost 66 lives to suicide, making suicide the 10th leading cause of death in Orange County. So as Commissioner Price pointed out, we've added 2 more pair of shoes to our display this year. We have a suicide death rate of 9 per 100,000 persons compared to the state rate, which is 13.3 per 100,000 persons. The majority of our deaths are seen among our white residents, which make up 62 of the 66 deaths, and 50 of those deaths were among men. Suicide is the 6th leading cause of death among those 0 to 19 years of age, the 2nd leading cause of death among those 20 to 39, the 5th leading cause of death among those 40 to 64. Suicide is our youth. Our youth, whether we think about it or not, need our help now more than ever. Suicide trends in our youth. Based on data from the most recent Youth Risk Behavior Survey, in our Chapel Hill Carrboro City Schools, 12% of high school students and 13% of our middle school students purposely hurt themselves. 12% of high school and 15% of the middle school students seriously considered suicide. 10% of high school and 9% of our middle school students made a plan. 3% of high school and 6% of the middle school students attempted suicide. 2% of high school attempted suicide and needed treatment for their injuries. In the Orange County school system, 11% of high school and 16% of the middle school students seriously considered suicide. 7% of the high school and 8% of the middle school students made a plan. 1% of the high school students and 6% of the middle school students attempted suicide. 0% of the high school and 9% of the middle school students attempted suicide and needed treatment for their injuries. We can all play a part in preventing suicide. The things we need to do are recognize the signs and symptoms, ask the questions, take the time to have the discussion, and help connect them to people who can help them. I'm now going to turn the mic back over to Ashley, who's going to tell you what to look for in our role as a community.
I'm gonna stand back here now. Yeah. Okay, so there are a few signs and symptoms that we can all look for in our loved ones, and I'm sure our speakers will touch more on this as well. But if you ever come across someone who is talking about wanting to die or wanting to kill themselves, they're looking for a way to do it. They're talking about feeling hopeless and having no reason to live. They're talking about being a burden to other people. They've increased their use of substances, whether it's alcohol or drugs, or they're withdrawing a lot and isolating themselves. So it's important to kind of put all these things together. There's not to say that only one of these are a contributor, but a multiple of factors happening at the same time can be. Suicide does not occur because someone is selfish, they lack faith, they're hostile, they're irresponsible, or they're weak. So we do want to help break that stigma that that is not the case. They are dealing with something internally and should have the proper help for it. So with that being said, Health of Carolinians has decided to adopt a campaign that is very simple for all of us to do, that we don't have to necessarily think a lot about. That's not that hard. It gives us something we feel like we should have went to school for. So we adopted a campaign. It's called Be the One Too. And there's 5 simple steps, and on the back table that says Healthy Carolinians, there's a small paper that you can take home with you that lists the steps that I'm about to go over. So the first one is to ask, and we want you to be comfortable enough and not afraid to ask them if they feel like hurting themselves, if they feel like dying. And it's actually not encouraging anyone to die by suicide or to actually complete it just because you ask them. The second one is to keep them safe. So if they say yes to the question, then you want to make sure that if there's anything in that area that can harm them, that you remove them from anything hazardous that can do that. The next one is to be there for them. So basically just be their friend. Call and check on them, talk to them, ask them questions, take them out to dinner, go get ice cream from Mapleview or somewhere. And just be that person for them. Help them connect. So that is where you would just link them to someone else who can help them, whether it's 911, whether it's the Lifeline, Suicide Prevention Lifeline, whether it's a therapist, their pastor, minister, or anyone that you feel that would be more beneficial to them than you could be. And then to follow up with them. So once you've done all this, you're still being a friend to them. So if it's a month later and you knew that something happened, it doesn't hurt to reach back out and see how they're doing. So again, those 5 steps are going to be on the back table. You can take that home with you so that you can remember, so that we can also all work together. We also want you to change how we talk. So we often know that the word committed usually is tied to a negative connotation, is when someone says they committed a crime or they committed a murder. And so we would like for folks to use the word died by suicide to help break the stigma that suicide or dying by suicide is a negative thing, okay? So the last thing that I would like to share with you, I would like for all of us to take out our phones, and this is the only step that I'll have you do while you're here. And I want us all to be prepared in the event that we come across someone who is in crisis or needs our help. And so I'm going to give you a number that is to the Suicide Prevention Lifeline. And you can save it in your phone as Suicide Prevention Lifeline, because we never know when we might need it. Is everybody ready? The number is 1-800-273-8255. Again, it's 1-800-273-8255. Thank you. Okay, so now we will hear from 2 of our speakers. Our first one is Jody Flick. She's a clinical associate professor with the School of Social Work at UNC Chapel Hill. She is a member of the North Carolina Suicide Prevention Task Force, the Triangle Coalition for Suicide Prevention, and she facilitates the Chapel Hill Survivors of Suicide Laws support group. She shows a true passion for her field, and Flick was also a crisis counselor with the Chapel Hill Police Department Crisis Unit for 19 years. She provided counseling, victim assistance, and crisis intervention in traumas such as domestic violence, sexual assault, and family issues. If you can all help me welcome Ms. Jody Flick.
So I'm up here today because, partly because I've spent my entire career in mental health, and partly because I'm also a fellow survivor. I've lost several friends, dear friends, to suicide. I've lost one colleague to suicide. Thank you. And probably my closest loss, I lost my father-in-law, Jim, to suicide about 20 years ago, which is why I run the survivors group now. That's my way of honoring him. And because what we always say in our group is, I don't want my father-in-law to be remembered for how he died. I want him to be remembered for how he lived, which was the most important thing. So I am so grateful that all of you all are here to support the suicide prevention efforts in Orange County. Your presence here means that you have already understood something that suicide prevention researchers have just only recently been able to prove, which is that we're all better off when we look out for each other. It seems like such a simple thing, right? Almost too simple to be true. But study after study finds the same thing. That lives are saved in a community when people look out for each other. When they express personal interest in each other's lives. When they pay attention to changes in other people's behavior. When they demonstrate concern for the well-being of their neighbors and friends and coworkers. It turns out that looking out for each other not only reduces suicide, but a host of other problems. It decreases domestic violence. It decreases child abuse. It decreases murders, alcoholism, and a host of other social problems. When we all look out for one another, things in our whole community improve. So, suicide prevention isn't something that we just need to leave to the mental health professionals. Preventing suicide is everybody's business. How many of you all have taken CPR? Show of hands. Wonderful. Thank you. You know, knowing CPR does save people's lives. But think about this for a second. Realistically, what are the odds that you personally would happen to be just standing right next to a person at the exact moment that that person had a heart attack? Not very likely. Okay. In fact, I'll tell you that I've been certified in CPR for almost 40 years, and I've done it once. so it's not very likely. But the real issue is, right, that every single one of us is going to have more experience with people in our lives who have mental health problems than we are with someone having a heart attack. But the main reason that we train a whole community in CPR is that you want the odds to be really high that when a person has a heart attack, they'll be standing in with people where at least someone will know how to do it. Okay? So that's the same thing that we need to think, the same way we need to think about suicide prevention. Right? We need everyone in our community to know how to recognize the signs that someone might be in trouble and know what to say and what to do. So just like CPR, you may never have to do it, and I hope you don't. But noticing that somebody's having a problem and knowing what to say will save lives. So, when you notice that somebody in your life is stressed out or isn't responding to things the way they normally would, that's the perfect time to ask. Right? Ask how they're doing. To say, hey, you haven't been acting like yourself lately. What's going on? You haven't been coming by as often lately. How are things going with you? If you haven't already learned mental health first aid, let me make a plug for this and encourage you to take the mental health first aid class. Mental health first aid is basically CPR for mental health. It takes the 5 most common mental health emergencies that the average person would ever encounter in their life and teaches you how to recognize what's happening and what to say and what to do if you saw that. Okay? So just like you don't have to be a doctor to recognize the signs of a heart attack and know how to do CPR, mental health first aid is going to teach you how to recognize and respond to someone having a panic attack, to someone who's depressed and maybe suicidal, to someone who's developing a substance use disorder, to someone who's just recently been through a life-threatening trauma, and someone who's developing psychosis. Mental Health First Aid will teach you exactly what to say and exactly what questions you need to ask. And then your job is just to truly listen without judging, to reassure people that there is hope, right? That things can be better than they are right now, and that you care. And then help them connect with resources in their community. We're incredibly lucky here in Orange County because we have all kinds of resources here that many places across our state, many rural areas don't have access to. Our hurdle isn't a lack of resources here. Our problem is getting people to use the resources that we have. I don't know how many of you all have read Louise Penny's Inspector Gamache mystery novels. Any of you? I'm going to highly recommend them to you if you haven't. But the main character is Inspector Gamache, who's the head of the Canadian Homicide Division of inspectors. And he requires all of his detectives and police officers and cadets to memorize these 4 statements that he says are the most important things, most important sentence any police officer needs to know. Well, I happen to think that those sentences are ones that everyone needs to learn and use. They're, I'm sorry, I was wrong, I don't know, and I need help. Because it's a sign of strength to know when you need help and to ask for it when you need it. You know, Americans like to think we're really independent and stand on our own 2 feet, but the reality is we're all interdependent. We all rely on other people. None of us grow all our own food. None of us make all our own clothes or pave our own streets or fetch our own water or create our own medicines. We all rely on other people. And that includes relying on others to meet our most basic human need, which is to be loved and cared about by others. What the suicide prevention research shows is that there are 2 things that every person needs to feel they're valued and worthwhile, needed and loved, and that there is a group where they belong. A family, a tribe, a clan, a team, a community. Social connectedness and a sense of belonging are essential to people's mental health. We all know there are things you can do to alleviate depression and anxiety. We know them all, right? That exercise, getting regular, adequate sleep, and some things we're not all that good at, right? Mindfulness, meditation, prayer, yoga, spending time in nature. The research says a minimum of 2 hours a week, which can either be 15 minutes a day or a total of 2 hours in a week. So we know what those things are, right? But of all the factors, the 2 most important are feeling needed and valued and feeling that your life has purpose and meaning. So my challenge to you today as you leave this place is to remember this. Connect with others in your life in meaningful ways. Notice if somebody isn't acting like themselves and show them that you care. And if you have reason to be concerned, as Ashley said, ask them directly if they're having thoughts of suicide. Suicide prevention isn't just something we need to leave to the mental health professionals. Saving lives is everybody's business.
Thank you, Ms. Jody. We have one more speaker, and that is Joanna Bowen, who is an attorney, a mental health supporter, and a career advocate of underserved populations. Bowen currently serves on the National Alliance for Mental Illness, or NAMI, Orange County Board, and previously served on the NAMI North Carolina Board. Ms. Bowen is an advocate for policies that support mental health awareness and access for all mental health services, beginning in early childhood and continuing through their lifespan. She will speak to the need for policies that halt discrimination against individuals living with mental illness and that enable everyone to engage fully in their lives at home and in their communities. Here's Ms. Bowen.
Hello, thank you for having me, and thank you for being here today. You're here proving that we have a community that cares, and you are part of that. What can we do to prevent suicide and help people with mental illness? Well, we can create a community that is safe for people to talk about mental illness and their anxieties, their problems, to speak up, to say something, to reach out, to ask for help, and to know that they will not be penalized because they've done so. That's the goal. We want mental illness to be thought of as any other illness. And just like any other illness, there can be a crisis that is life-threatening. There can be some mild despondency, some anxiety. How do you tell the difference? If you can't tell the difference, don't worry about it. There are professionals around here who can tell the difference. Try and help someone that you're worried about make those connections. At NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, Barb Meyer over there is the president of our local chapter. Please connect with her. Our table is over there. She's got the banner that says everyone knows someone, and that's very true. So at NAMI, we teach the LEAP method. If you've read a book, it's by Xavier Amador. How do you get someone into treatment if they don't want to go? You listen. You empathize with them. There must be something that you can empathize with. You find something that you can agree with them on, and then you partner with them. You don't just give them the phone number of a psychiatrist and say, I really think you should go see a shrink. You help them make that connection, make the appointment. You say you're going to be on this journey with them, and you go, and you support them all the way. NAMI is full of family members who've done just that. And if you have someone in your family newly diagnosed and you don't know what to do and how to help them, and you're scared about what the future holds, call Barb. I'll even give you the phone number. Let's see. Here we go. You can call Barb at 919-929-7822. That's the NAMI Orange Helpline. And you can go to the website, NAMIOrangeNC.org. I became part of NAMI because I have children with serious and persistent mental illness. And I didn't know what I needed to do to take care of them. I was scared for their future. I joined NAMI. I took a free 12-week class called Family to Family. And in that class, I met other people who were similarly situated. I learned how to access care. Maybe we do have lots of services in this area. Personally, I have found it a real challenge to access the appropriate care at the moment that we need it. So I've had a son in the emergency room for days, extending over to a week, just to wait to be seen by a psychiatrist. When a child is in crisis and they're suicidal, that's too long. So I hope you will support our efforts to get a walk-in crisis unit that provides a high level of medical care.
Yes.
I know that Freedom House has got a walk-in crisis unit, but if you have the slightest medical complication, It seems to me that you need a doctor immediately. You need to be in the emergency room. There's nothing in between. There's not a crisis walk-in unit around here other than that one in the emergency room. We need that level of care. Right now, our jails are filling up all across the country with people who have serious and persistent mental illness. They don't need to be in jail. They need treatment and access to care. So there is treatment, effective treatment for people who are suicidal. I have been connecting with lots of doctors around here. I had a psychiatrist tell me at the Orange County Behavioral Health Unit for the jail that they have found through research, somebody is doing the research, I don't know who it is, that when they give suicidal inmates clozapine, just if they've attempted suicide and they don't wait for that diagnosis and they don't draw things out, they start treating them with a low dose of clozapine, suicides have gone down by 85% in those jails. Think about that. There is treatment, effective treatment available. You have to ask for it. You have to know that it's out there before you're even motivated to seek it. So another thing I would say tonight is, as you walk around tonight, and those steps are going to be easy to take, this isn't a huge, long walk we're going to take. Think about what a huge, long walk it feels like for someone who is thinking of harming themselves, to take that first step to tell someone, to recognize, I think I'm in crisis. I don't think I can handle this by myself. I need help. That recognition, that first step, that's huge. And what's the second step? To tell someone, to reach out, to ask for help. The third step, access it, go get the help. Acknowledge to someone, I'm in pain. I can't do this alone. That's really hard for anyone to do. It's easy for us to stand up here and say, here are the 5 things we need to do. We need to connect people with services. It's not easy. It's never easy. I can tell you that from my personal experience with, as being on the board with NAMI, the number of people I've spoken to at our support groups, at our educational meetings, at our classes. There is a world of pain out there. We can lessen the pain if we work together and if we make sure we create a safe community for people to talk about it. And if we tell our legislators, Penny Rich, where are you? And others, it matters, it has to be a priority. And it has to be a priority, now I'll go into my attorney mode, at the local level, at the state level, at the national level. Treatment does work. I know that it does work, but it has to be available. All right, I want to end by reading a poem. So this is called Wait. This was written by a man named Galway Kinnell. He wrote this to a student that he thought had suicidal ideations after a breakup with his girlfriend, a romantic breakup that was very hard for him. It's called Wait. Wait for now. Distrust everything if you have to, but trust the hours. Haven't they carried you everywhere up to now? Personal events will become interesting again. Hair will become interesting. Pain will become interesting. Buds that open out of season will become interesting. Second gloves will become lovely again. Their memories are what give them the need for other hands. The desolation of lovers is the same, that enormous emptiness carved out of such tiny beings as we are, asked to be filled. The need for the new love is faithfulness to the old. Wait. Don't go too early. You're tired, but everyone's tired. But no one is tired enough. Only wait a little and listen. Music of hair, music of pain, music of looms weaving our loves again. Be there to hear it. It will be the only time, most of all, to hear your whole existence rehearsed by the sorrows play itself into total exhaustion.
Can we thank our speakers one more time for sharing with us this evening? So as we come to an end, way earlier than I thought. All right with me. Please visit our vendors who have come and shared information with you guys, learn something that you didn't know. Again, the cards with the 5 components on it of what we can all do as community members are there for you to take. Anything else on the tables are there for you to take. I thought it was gonna be a little darker, but we have glow sticks and glow lights. Thankfully, we don't need them, but they're on the table as well. You can have those. Please visit Mapleview and take all the ice cream that you can hold right here before dinner time, so they don't have to take a lot of it back. And we will start going this way, and we're gonna take a short walk through the pavilions and just around the paved area. And once you come all the way back around, then you're free to go. So we thank you all for coming again, and we hope to see you next year.